All right. My name is JC, and I have the honor of leading the South Carolina Schools Network with Wholespire. Our mission is to identify and promote healthy eating and active living strategies in South Carolina public schools that empower key stakeholders and encourage collaboration among those seeking to improve student health and academic achievement.
Thank you, JC. And my name is Erika Ayers. I serve as the Executive Director for the South Carolina Governor's Council on Physical Fitness. And the mission of the Governor's Council is to support the health and wellness of all South Carolinians through the advancement of physical activity. And for several years now, we've been working towards that mission in collaboration with Wholespire Schools Network. And an example of that collaboration is this webinar series that we have been putting on now for a little over 3.5 years, I believe. And the purpose in this webinar series is to enhance that collaboration between schools and communities using the whole school, whole community, whole child model as a framework to support our students' health, but also their academic performance. And today for our webinar, we're going to be focused on family engagement, which is very timely with the holidays coming up, but we should always be focusing on family engagement. And we're actually going to have our presenters go into greater depth into what family engagement is and how they support it from their unique perspectives.
All right. So we have a large variety with us today. Welcome, everyone. Our first presenter is Jack Harris. He is originally from Bristol, England. He has a background in working with special needs settings, which shaped his passion for creating inclusive environments. 4 years ago, he moved to Columbia, South Carolina, where he has been working as a PE teacher and serving as a Title I liaison, helping to support students and families in our community. This session will provide tools to foster meaningful family engagement events that aim to inspire connection through school staff, families, and students. The presentation will include tips and creative ideas to bring families together through activities that inspire physical activity and joy. Welcome, Jack.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, JC. Just give me a second to share my screen. Okay, perfect. So as JC already mentioned, my section is going to be on family engagement and some of the ideas that I do in my school with my students and their parents and all the staff members. Um, so a little bit about me, like I said, I've been in Colombia for the past 4 years, and each year we are trying to grow our physical development across the school and outside in the community. So throughout these slides, you're going to see ways to incorporate different types of literacy in these family engagement activities, and then just ways for you just to have fun with your parents and you know, being in an inclusive environment. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to the first slide here. Okay, so why is family involvement important? So for one, it significantly boosts students' performance and emotional well-being. Um, if the teachers have a good relationship with the parents, you're able to liaise with one another. If there are any issues going on at home, they are able to communicate with you in person or over Class Dojo. In our school system, we have Class Dojo, which is essentially just like a Facebook, but for students, staff, and teachers. So you're able to just transfer messages in between the two. Um, and if a parent is more involved in their students' education, they are more likely to excel academically. And they're able to foster that positive behavior in school. 2 seconds. Okay, so obviously today I'm trying to talk about as much physical activity as possible. There might be some activities that might not be specifically just to sports. So like I said, we might link it to like any sort of like reading celebrations, literacy, or any type of like math family engagement nights. But we do try to cross over where possible. So on this slide is the benefits of sports activities for families. Participating in sports activities together improve family bonding and promotes a healthier lifestyle. Okay, we are all in a setting where we're in some type of capacity working with kids directly or, pulling the strings behind the scenes. So we all know that the importance of students being healthy can improve their academic performance. All right, so we're trying to look at how can we do that with parents. Um, and to get parents on board can be a struggle sometimes because, we're trying to build the trust. We have to think about not every single parent had a positive school upbringing. Okay, so that's why it's important that we are trying to break those habits. We're really trying to build those connections. And in order for us to do that, we need to be positive. We need to make sure that we are really emphasizing those connections. So one way you can do that is through sporting activities and not necessarily 30 minutes of heart pumping activity, but just something to keep you moving. So here's like a little photo of my school participating in a run outside of school that we did with the parents as well. I will go into a little bit more detail about that as we go on. Okay, so throughout this presentation, you're going to be looking at events and listening to events such as the Pumpkin Fun Run, Family PE Week. We've participated in roller skate nights. We've done a kite flying day. So as we go on, I will tell you about some of the logistics that I used when planning these events and how the events actually rolled out throughout the day. Again, we're not only encouraging physical fitness, but we're also reinforcing the bond between parents, students, and the educators. So that's another thing, making sure that your teachers are fully on board as possible and making sure that they are there, putting themselves out there as well. It shouldn't just have to rely on the physical educators inside your school. It should be a whole school approach. So, just creating that sense of like spirit across your school and you just having that unison. Okay, so I'm going to start with one of the ones that we did most recently. This is the Pumpkin Fun Run. And the really cool thing about this one is that it was not my idea. I was actually approached by a group of students in my fifth grade, and they said, "Hey, coach, we really want to just plan something for the whole school." And we were starting to talk, and we were like, "So, what are your ideas?" And then they said, "How about let's do a run?" Because at this moment in my school, we're trying to focus on just walking or running at the moment. So they said, how about we just do a pumpkin fun run? So I worked, collaborated with them. I had permission from my principal just to pull some kids out of class, and they had to write proposals to the principal. So that's a really good way to factor in that literacy and writing. They had to write a letter to her to say why would this be good for the school, what benefits are the kids going to have, and then they also had to think of any like type of safety measures. So the objective of this was just to participate in a walk or a run. And again, you're trying to instill that love for physical activity. So this is a cool little picture here. I don't know if you could know what I am, but I'm meant to be a Power Ranger. I think the student next to me is in kindergarten, and I think they kind of like upshowed me on on the Power Ranger costume. He had the helmet and the little weapons as well, which was pretty cool. Okay, so planning and logistics. Like I said, I was approached by these students. This wasn't my idea. It was completely theirs, but we took a look of like where can we actually design for the students to run around where it could be safe. So I just took the kids around, they planned it out. Then they said, so what are the kids going to get at the end of it? And at first I was just like, just the enjoyment of, running, having that like just self-confidence, the opportunity to socialize. But then they asked, can we print out certificates? And I was like, okay, all right, let's do it. So then they printed out certificates for the kids. And then we also found a website where you can create your running bibs. So every single student had a running bib to make it a little bit more official. And, the kids, some of them, that's their first ever running/walking event. And, they've really got on board of it. And then they're starting to realize that, okay, this is how it's actually going to look when you do a proper run outside of school. So that was really cool. Okay, again, how do you encourage parent participation? Like I said, we use Class Dojo, so we promoted that on our Class Dojo website. We have a school sign at the front of the school, like one of those electronic boards. So that's a way for you to promote that. Um, we also provided incentives for the students to participate with their parents. We have a school store, where our students work in a school store, and then the kids earn fake money, where they can purchase items in the store, and that's a way for you just to improve like math skills and life skills, such. That's not necessarily related to parents, but we do have parents who come in and help the kids shop as well. However, let's get back to the Halloween slash walk. A way we kind of pulled the parents in was after the fun run, we did a trunk or treat. Let me just go to my next slide, and there should be a picture. Okay, so we had an amazing turnout for this. We had multiple parents come in, decorate their trunks, and then filled it up with the bad stuff like candy and any type of snacks. And because it was, Halloween theme related, it was more unhealthy snacks. But there's ideas here for you to, if you want to incorporate into like a healthier nutrition type thing. You can even have a trunk or treat going on, but instead of different trunks, you can also have like a nutrition stand, or you could have a physical activity stand. So they go for like a trunk to learning about healthier food just right after they picked up their candy. And then you could do some type of physical activity and kind of make it into like a full harvest type of thing. And that way parents are coming in, they're participating in those physical activities as well. And then they're also learning about nutritional stuff. Because I don't know if it's the same in a lot of schools, but I have a lot of students who come in, telling me their favorite foods and McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. And I don't think they're actually fully aware of, eating too much of that, is extremely negative for your body. So just having a nutrition stand would be a great idea. I want to try and incorporate it next year when we do the trunk or treat. And then again, you can also have like a little station of what physical activities can I do at home. So in terms of the parents for this one, their role was to come in. They helped with safety measures of the walk slash run. They walked with the kids, and then they also helped assist with the trunk or treat. So that's three ways how you can bring parents into your school and also just have that connection with them at that time, because every single student is walking around to their car. Teachers are walking around, and then it's just a nice time for you to stop and engage, and just get to know them on a little bit more of a deeper level, not necessarily talking about academics, because you're there to focus on like the pumpkin fun run. And it just opens up like a whole range of like different conversation. So I'm just gonna go on to my next slide. It's one of the first times I'm using Prezi, so I'm kind of getting used to how the slides operate fully. Okay, in the chat, can you just let me know if you have ever done family PE week in your school? Okay, so we got some, yeah, not that I remember. And Erika mentioned how it's all about the balance between candy and being healthy. I love that. Okay, so a lot of people are saying no. Okay, so there is a specific week that is advertised as like National PE Family PE Week. However, you can choose when you want to do it, because when I did it my first year, I did it like a month or two after, just because of the timings in my school. But however, the overall gist of this is to highlight the importance of PE. Okay. I speak to a few parents and they're always asking about like, how's my children doing academically? And then my response is, you speak to your classroom teacher for that. But then I always want to tell them how they are doing in PE. And I don't just mean, how good are they at sport? Okay. Because to me, there's a lot of other things that come into PE. My biggest thing is, your social and emotional regulation in PE. As I mentioned, I worked in a special needs setting before it back in England, and we didn't focus too much on academics because they weren't at that point in their development where they could sit in a classroom and do academics. So we focus strictly on physical activity and incorporating those life skills into PE. So I really want to try to emphasize that to parents when they do come to visit my PE, that it's not always specifically about how good your child is at PE, is about how are they in socializing with one another? How are they at, if they get into an altercation with somebody, how do they problem solve? Okay, so that's what my emphasis on Family PE Week is. Okay, I'm just gonna see if anyone else put anything in the chat. Okay, so we got some fun run fundraisers. We had some host parent engagement days. All right, cool. So yeah, I feel like, now that we're seeing some of these ideas, it's definitely an amazing way to implement it. And I love some of the things that people have said in the chat also. Okay, so scheduled activities, like I said, I just have them come into my PE lessons. But as I was doing some research, I find some other types of things. Sorry, I did do a family fitness day as well that I mentioned here. However, not every single family is going to want to come and do like fitness activities, right? So we have to try like branch out. And I'm not the most confident dancer, but just have fun. You can have things like dance-a-thons, you can have sports clinics, and you're just inviting them to come in and have fun and realizing that PE doesn't have to be this strenuous activity. Every time I teach dance in one of my PE units, the kids are always leaving saying, I did not realize how much of a workout that was. Okay, and they're just having fun, they're laughing with each other. So those are just some of the activities that you can do. And again, just promote it on your school's platform. At my school, we have family game nights. And then you can see in this picture here on the left, it's just things like we do things like bowling. So they come in and they do bowling. We have like a schedule of events. So it's not always going to be physical activity. We have things like Guess Who, the charades game, Pictionary. So each classroom would have a setup and a teacher will lead the game in that classroom. And then the kids have like a little table and then they just cross out, what games they have participated in. And again, we have such a good turnout with that. We do it in the evening after school, and we also incorporate it again with like a family literacy engagement night. So we have had students from the local university. They have provided literacy workshops for parents to like pop in. So as they're going into literacy engagement workshops, there's also game night happening outside. So that is another way just to kind of factor that in. If you're thinking of ideas of, we all know that we're trying to improve academic performance and we're trying to improve performance with parents working alongside teachers as well. So that is a really like fantastic way to do it. Hang on. Okay, so promoting healthy lifestyles. National School PE Week reinforces healthy lifestyle choices through interactive sessions on nutrition, exercise, and wellness. Here's a little picture here on the right-hand side. Again, I'm really trying to push it on my students to take initiative of their own health. Okay, it's all good me like saying it in PE lessons or when I'm walking through the school, but then I'm always trying to get them to think, what can you do outside of school? So that's just a little picture of it was me and a few other of my students participating in like a local 5K run. So again, that is a good way to you can share these ideas in your not in your family PE week. So what I did with mine, when the parents came in, I just had like a list of activities of like, oh, this is what's going on outside of school. So obviously it's going to take you to do a little bit of research of what's happening in your area and, just what is feasible and what isn't. Again, I know a lot of places that offer scholarships. Like with this one on the Run Hard, They do offer scholarships for, students in low income families. So just have a think about that, do a little bit of research, and again, share it during your family PE week. Okay, going on to the next slide. All right, roller skate night. So this one, if you see me on a pair of roller skates, you would think that's probably the first time. And I have done this quite a few times, and I've just still not grasped it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's my coordination, but um, I'm not the best on a roller skate. So I was just looking at the chat. This is great. We've done it in a few ways. I'm going to tell you about the most recent one. So my school are really trying to emphasize students reading. So we sent him reading logs with students, and then if they meet the criteria, for example, I think with like the younger kids, it was like 15 to 20 books in a month, and then just tick it off and have your parents sign it and then bring it back into school. Okay, so how does this affect the parent engagement? So we invite parents to also come participate with their kids. So we did this during the school day as like a field trip. That was the most recent one, and then parents came in as well. I roller skated with their family. And then we did it on another night. We did it on a nighttime after school, where it's just a turn up if you want to turn up. That one had a lot more parents come in just because of the time of the day. So they came in, roller skated, and roller skating is such a heavy workout. I don't know if anyone on this call roller skates often, but really fair play to you if you do. It is a heavy workout. So again, this serves as an opportunity for families to socialize and build relationships with other parents and school staff. Like I said, there's not as much like structure to an event like this when you're roller skating. So it is just the perfect opportunity for you to get to know your family and also just your kids. There's a picture in here with me walking around with one of the students, and it is really surprising how much they do open up when they're not in like a school environment and you're trying to get to know them. And then they tell you these little details, and you're thinking, oh, okay, now I understand why, you know, sometimes this might happen when you react a certain way. And I think that's just a perfect way to, really get to know your student. And again, exact same with the parents. They like talk to you, they definitely open up a little bit more as well. So that's just the purpose of it. It's just to making sure that, is a non-traditional way of exercising with your family and your students. Okay, so this walk was actually last week. I think it was November the 14th, maybe. Yeah, I think it's November 14th. So this is Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. So I'm not sure if anyone has done this in their school before. Has anyone done the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day before? Okay, so we've got a few no's. Okay, so technically ours isn't a walk to school day just because of the area that we are in. You know, students get dropped to school by their parents. We don't have school buses. So in our environment, it's not really like safe for kids to walk to school. So I changed it to a walk at school. So I just again planned a route for students to walk around. And again, if you look at like the posters here and like the flyers that some of the kids made, you can make in this to a whole school day event. Again, inviting parents to come in. We even had one parent come in and they read a book with a group of students, which was really nice. And again, I didn't know anything about Ruby Bridges until I moved to the United States in the first year I was here. And a parent reached out to me and said, "Oh, this is who Ruby Bridges is. This is her story. This would be a great idea for you to implement this in your school." And I was like, yeah, definitely. I think it's a great positive message. And then she came in and actually read a book with the kids. And again, you're just walking around with parents, you're fostering that communication between each other and just getting to exercise whilst doing something for a great cause. We had like members of the public like see us as well and ask us what we were doing. So you're really just trying to share that message about, celebrating diversity and encouraging families to promote a physical active lifestyle. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to go to the next page. Okay, bring your bike to school day. All right, I want to emphasize this. Make sure you have your safety protocols before you do anything with this one, because when you are trying to plan this event, you need to ensure that, kids are going to likely fall off the bike, right? Or, off their scooters or whatever, roller skates, whatever they bring in. But just make sure you have a plan for that. Make sure you're talking to your school nurse. And again, make sure you do it in an environment where it's not too overcrowded. Okay. So this initiative promotes cycling as a sustainable and healthy mode of transport. Again, I think there is a national like ride your bike to school day, but again, as I previously mentioned, is just not feasible in our school. So we do it where parents can bring in their bikes to school if they choose to as well. But if not, they assist with any like type of safety things, like helping kids like get on their bikes, making sure their helmets are on, making sure any elbow pads. So that's just a way to engage families to come in with each other as well. Okay, egg hunt and family activities. Out of these two, I think the most unique one is probably if you look at the bottom picture here, it is a kite day. So I'm not sure if you have the same problem at any other school, but in my school, like I said, where our kids get brought to school by their parents, on half days, our attendance significantly drops. So on half days, we're trying to think, oh, how can we, you know, entice kids and in parents to want to come in for those half days? So my principal had an amazing idea was we're going to purchase a kite for every single student, and then we're just going to go fly kites for like an hour of the day. And that went down so well. There are so many kids I've just never realized before who've never flown a kite, and they were just so happy. They were like running around with the kite. Again, obviously, my school is small, so we had more of the funds to do that. But again, you could promote it to your parents for them to bring in their own kites. And again, parents were coming in with us flying kites. And this is what I mean. It doesn't have to be a strenuous amount of exercise. It can just be, walking around flying a kite again, but you're using those different types of muscles in your body, like your arm muscles, and also a lot of motor skills as well in terms of like trying to set the kite up, like making sure the rope is going around. Especially with those younger students, I think this was great for them, and it was kind of like an eye opener, thinking we definitely might do some more motor skills with them. So that was a fantastic way to do that. Um, then the egg hunt, we did this as students, and the parents actually planned this. They went around hiding eggs around the school, and then the parents had the opportunity to walk around with their kids or run around with their kids and collect as many eggs as possible. Okay, so again, you're fostering that community spirit and family involvement. 2 seconds. Okay, so you need to make sure you are measuring the impact on family engagement, because you could be doing all these events and then parents not even understanding the reasoning behind it. So you have to make sure you're always collecting some type of data after. I'm going to show you an example on this slide. After every event, we have a QR code for people to access a survey, and there's just a type of questions on here of what we use. If you want to have a look at it as well, maybe write down some examples. But again, just really getting their feedback on it. And then I always speak to my kids at my school as well to make sure I'm seeing what things they enjoyed, what things they didn't. Because kids are going to tell you the truth, right? They're not really going to lie to you and say that something is really good if it isn't. So it's just good to get everyone's feedback overall. Yeah, I'm just going to skip through, so I'm not too sure how well I'm doing on time right now. Okay, so that has concluded my family engagement activities. I really hope that you have taken something away from this. Like I said, the one thing I want you to emphasize is no small activity, is going to go under the radar. Okay, like I said, something very simple, just arranging some type of game nights. Like I said, it doesn't have to be going out and exercise and playing a game of soccer or football or flag football. You can do these other little things to just try improve family cohesion across your school. So also I know we have questions at the end, and I know my email is going to be shared after, but I would be more than happy to speak to people after if anyone would like to email me. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Those are outstanding examples of physical activity that includes the family and reaches beyond it, the collaboration of the whole school is really beautiful. So next up, we have Shantal joining us again this month. For those of us who were lucky enough to watch the webinar in October, we got a brief introduction to Erika's Lighthouse, and we are thrilled to have Shantal back with us today. She is the manager of school outreach at Erika's Lighthouse. She leverages her expertise in youth mental health to empower and educate school professionals, students, and families. Today's session will be diving into the role of parents and caregivers as a crucial protective factor for youth mental health. I will turn it over to Shantal.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for having me back. And let's get started. Let me just share my screen here. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. I have to say, Jack, those were all wonderful stories. I loved every single one of those activities, and also the pictures. I think the pictures can't lie, right? Everybody looks super, super excited about those activities. So thanks for sharing. Yes, so my name is Shantal Saldaña. I am the manager of school outreach at Erika's Lighthouse. And on this first slide here, just wanted to point out a couple of things. One is my email. So make sure you take my email down. You can reach out any other time, with any questions that you might have about anything that I will review today or anything else that you find through our resources. And then the second thing is a QR code. You can go ahead and scan that with your phone. This way that you can walk up today with all of the access to the free programs and resources that we have at Erika's Lighthouse. So it takes a couple of minutes to create a resource portal, and you'll get everything that I'll review today and even more. So if you have just a couple of seconds, I do have the QR code on a different screen a little bit later, but I want to make sure that I pointed that out. If you're not familiar with who we are Erika's Lighthouse. We're a national nonprofit organization that believes that every student deserves good mental health. So we're a nonprofit that is dedicated to providing free mental health programs for schools anywhere. We currently work with over 48 or 49 states, and also have some international schools that use us. Now, we are here today and talking about mental health, or bringing these mental health resources, because we know that families are crucial to the current mental health crisis that we are seeing. I'm just here to bring you some of those resources where we can help support students, not only at school, but making sure that we're giving those tools to the families so they can help too. We know that early identification for mental health is critical. So 1 out of 5 young people will experience depression before adulthood. And we also know that 50% of those will be symptomatic by the age of 14. And this is why it's so important students spend a ton of time in schools. So early identification and making sure everyone in that school has the right tools is very, very important, including the students themselves, to make sure they have their own tools to take charge of their mental health. But also there's a lot to be done at home, right? To continue those conversations, to have that communication between home and school so that we can provide, that early identification, but also just the supports that are needed. Now, in the most recent reports around youth health risk behavior, like data, we know that there are protective factors for just improving youth mental health. And here on the screen, I have 2 that were kind of highlighted in these results, right? And one is parental monitoring, which I will give you more details about. And then the other one is school connectedness. School connectedness meaning students need to feel like they're cared for at school, and not only that we care about their academics, but really that we care about like who they are, what they like, what they're into, right? To really I guess, like have these bonds. It's very, very important and a protective factor for youth mental health. Now, the second one is parental monitoring. And when we're talking about parental monitoring, we're talking about knowing where their for parents to know where their students are, right? Make sure that they know who they're with, what are they doing, and also just like keeping track. So maintaining them engaged. So it's this expectation that parents have for their teens' behavior or youth behavior, the actions that the parents can, take to keep track of them, and also the ways that parents respond then when those rules are broken. So for families, I think it's very important to share for us to share every time we can or have the opportunity that they are, sometimes already doing many things for as far as parental monitoring, right? So, when they're asking the students and they're asking their kids, where will you be? Especially those older ones that might be a little more independent and do some activities on their own, right? Like who is going, who are their friends, get to know those families, get to know those friends, what time they'll be home, checking in. We know a lot of the students now have their own phone. So, making sure they're checking in where they are, making sure that there's good communication there. Also, just again, get to know friends, get to know parents, talk, right? And these conversations sometimes are the ones that some parents have a little more difficult time with, like when do I engage, when do I have these conversations? And it could really be any time. We just need to have this open conversation so that these don't have to be like a sit down conversation, but more in the car, on the way to school, or other just daily occasions. And then also just very important to set some of those rules and enforce those rules for behavior by clearly explaining, what the expectations are. Is also from reports from the CDC is when parents know where their students are, where the kids are, they can see that there's the teens or youth experience less violence, less substance use, and fewer mental health challenges. We know that. So that's where we want to equip parents with everything that we can. Now, this is just a little snippet of a study that we have recently launched here at Erika's Lighthouse that looked at youth help seeking behavior. And what I want to point out here is we asked students over 3 years to recognize where they could find trusted adults. And the study is a lot more broad than this, but I wanted to bring this one here so you can see how before implementing a classroom curriculum around mental health, students recognized, there was about 95% of students who recognize a parent or a grandparent as a trusted adult. Now, after the program, that increased by a little bit of those students who recognize a parent or grandparent post the classroom education programs for Erika's Lighthouse. But as you can see, the majority of students recognize a parent or a grandparent as a trusted adult. And this is a great thing, right? Because here is where we can find some support for students. And then the second question that was observed or looked at for this study was if they would be comfortable talking to a trusted adult about their mental health. As you can see, before students receive any program or any classroom information, they do find that a trusted adult at home, they feel comfortable talking about their mental health. So with 75%. And then after the implementation of classroom education or mental health education, that increased post-program to 77%. So again, this is good. We are finding these trusted adults at home and students are comfortable. But if you can see, there's still a gap, right? We have 77% of them being comfortable talking with a trusted adult at home, but they recognize 96%. So this gap is where we can fill in and create these supports to make sure that students feel comfortable talking to those trusted adults at home. So we know that families need to be informed, but they need to be also very supportive. Because families, we recognize they're young people's most identified trusted adults. We want them to be comfortable talking to those trusted adults at home and to those families, but we also want those families to be proactive and to have the right tools so that when these conversations happen, they know exactly what needs to be done. If it's just a conversation, or is it more like now my child needs help, and how to get to the help and navigating all of that. So the way that Erika's Lighthouse can help is we have 4 different pillars, but one of the pillars that we have for families is this family engagement resources for adults and their kids. It is also available in Spanish, so all of these are English and Spanish. And here is a snippet of what they are. So we have a family workbook series and with 3 workbooks that are really easy to download, really easy to share, also, available in Spanish, and then 2 workshops. So here's workbook 1. It's called We All Have Mental Health. It's mental health literacy. If you are in a school, this could be shared in an email with parents. And then we also have a bookmark with a QR code that you can share so that parents can scan the QR code and get to this workbook. It's very easy to read. All 3 of them are very easy to read. They're written by parents for parents, and they have a ton of tools, and then they have activities and worksheets embedded in them. So there's a ton of information in one little workbook. This one is mental health. We all have mental health, like the basics of mental health, like understanding everyday feelings versus overwhelming feelings. We talk about stigma around mental health, and then just like how to set supportive environments, and then being a trusted adult at home and what that looks like. Workbook number 2 is concern about your child. So for this one, there is some information about stress, anxiety, depression, risk factors. We want to make sure that everyone at home knows how to recognize signs and symptoms of adolescent depression so that we can, give that support at home. So this is, again, very easy to read with a ton of embedded information in it, very easy to share via PDF. You could always print these, but because they have embedded information on them, I think they're better shared as links so that parents can look at those on their phone, maybe, in a little downtime that they have, or just at any other convenient time on their computer. The third one is called getting help. So what does it look like when I need help, right? I recognize now that maybe my child needs support with their mental health. So what does that look like? So, from navigating, talking with your primary care provider, what are the costs, right? How do I get this to be covered through insurance? What conversation do I need to have with insurance? Maybe once I've recognized a service, right, like a therapist or something like that. What does that look like? What questions should I bring? So this navigates into types of therapies, types of medications, overall good mental health practices, so we can continue giving that support at home. But then it also really walks through every approach, types of therapies that there are, and things like checking in with, therapists, checking in with insurance, checking in with school. So has a ton of tools for parents here. Now, there are other, like I said, other activities that are within those workbooks. And here are just some of the examples. For example, there's one on having a conversation. So these are conversation guides for families. If, a family is not comfortable in starting these conversations, there are some guidance for earlier ages, right? What does that conversation look like? Also then maybe like elementary age school children, and then maybe more like adolescents or teens. And just like some conversation starters that can happen maybe in the car, right? When we're on our way home, or where we're on our way to school. There are others like checking in with therapists. You can see here like specific questions to ask questions to ask insurance, and also creating good mental health plans as a family. Within there, we also have awareness into action activities. So these activities focus on normalizing conversations and just overall practicing good mental health. They help foster the trust between family members because we're playing games, we're doing activities, and we're getting those conversations. We all have shared vocabulary so that we can better understand what's going on. And then these are, could be done. Some of them are like 5-minute activities. Some of them can take a little bit longer, or even like I'll show you a week planner. So there's, I think, a little bit for any family to just bring in. And as a school, if you are able to share these with parents, you can pick and choose to share the workbooks, but you can also just go in here and say, like, I want to bring these for my specific classroom, or for, this specific day, I want to make sure the parents walk away with this one activity. You can also have these as single activities and standalone activities. This is one of the examples that we have. So we have Mental Health Week at Home. This is a great activity, for example, before spring break, where we're sending this home with the students so that as a family, they can create a planner for one good thing to do for their mental health from Monday through Sunday of that week that, we're not in school. So just as an idea, this can be utilized really any time, but, before those holidays, I think it's a good one. This one is another one. We encourage a family journal for a lot of our students. They might not be the best at maybe verbally communicating, but how about doing a family journal where they can like have a notebook and then really write their thoughts, their concerns. We can engage even younger kids here if they have if they want to be part of the journal by doing drawings, leaving messages. This could be a family journal where everyone writes in, or it can be a journal between maybe like mom and son, dad and daughter. It could be whatever you as a family want it to be. So, and it also all we need is like a journal, some pencil, maybe some stickers, some colors, things like that. So very easy to implement. This kindness flowers is another one. And this one is really just to spread positivity, right? Like to spread good mental health practices, kind words to fill up our students with those kind words that we all need to hear. So this one encourages to do something kind for either a neighbor or someone else, like a sibling at their own home. It could be a lot of different things, but really we just want the impact to be here, like positive messages, and then expanding that positive messages vocabulary at home. We also have 2 family workshops, and this is, I think, very important. I understand how hard it is sometimes to get parents to come in to specific workshops because they're working or whatever it is. We want to give them the opportunity to not miss out on this information. So we do have family workshop 1. It's called We All Have Mental Health. It aligns with our classroom curriculum, but you don't have to utilize it to be able to provide this for families. So this family workshop is available pre-recorded in Spanish and in English. So what you can do is you have all of the materials that you would need to host something in your school. But if there are parents who cannot, like maybe interested but cannot attend, then you would send them the English or the Spanish recording so that they can watch it at their own time. We do have surveys, so we have like a family workshop survey and post so that you can measure, right, like maybe who actually completed the workshop, and then also if we can see the growth in knowledge from parents that took the workshop. So that's all available. And then if you want to host something in-house, there's some slides on here, an example of the slides. They're editable, so you can add or remove anything that you'd like, but it's all done for you with scripts and facilitator guides. And then family workshop 2 is depression and suicide. So this one does go into signs and symptoms of adolescent depression and suicide, reviews again what mental health is, and then gives parents a ton of information so they can be confident in navigating these conversations at home. These is also available as like a host in school, or it's also recorded in English and in Spanish so that you can send via links or an email. Another really easy way to share all of the resources at once would be to print this family bookmark. It is bilingual, so it's Spanish and English in the back. There's easy QR codes that will get parents to every single one of those workbooks, and then the 2 workshops right below. So very low cost to print and share. You can send this home, or you can give it out like, in any like parent-teacher meetings or anything like that. I think that's a really simple way to share everything. We also have another program. So again, when you scan the QR code, you'll create a research portal and you'll get everything that we have to offer. And that includes this other program called Mental Health Recharge. Mental Health Recharge is available in English and in Spanish. And what it is a ton of activities that all, they're 5-minute classroom breaks to boost mental health that you can incorporate into your day-to-day. This is what it looks like. It has like those 8 different categories. And then those 8 categories have like 8 different stories to each one of them. These can be implemented anytime the students need a break. And this can be also promoted for parents to do at home for any time they need a break. This is a full, I know we're coming close to time here. I want to make sure that we have time for those questions. So this is just a free program model that we have. If you have, the resource portal, you'll have classroom education, the empowerment clubs that we also have. We have family engagement, which is what I spoke about today. And then we also have family and staff training. And then we have a ton of wraparound supports as well to support. This is all prevention tier 1 in the tier 1 space. So for families, they can go directly to get all these resources to ericaslighthouse.org/family engagement. They can access everything from there. They don't have to sign up for a portal. But if you are a member of a school, then I encourage you to create a resource portal with that QR code or by going to ericaslighthouse.org and clicking on register for free access so that you can get all these resources and then are able to share those with parents. But with that, I want to just make sure, are we going to take questions here? I can stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Thank you, Chantal. Amazing resources. We are so grateful that you joined us again today. I'm gonna, if Jack wants to jump back on, we do have a two minutes or so for questions, but we will also share contact information in the chat. So if anyone would like to ask a question now or follow up, we encourage you to do so. Erika does an amazing job of organizing these webinars. She's also responsible for a couple of huge events this weekend. So she did have to jump off a few minutes early. So that's where Erika is, which means that I get to help us wrap this up this morning. So a big thank you to our presenters. Family engagement is truly, it's so impactful for each child. If you think back to those positive moments that we felt during our mindful moment this morning about our time with family and loved ones, they've given us great resources so that we can facilitate these moments with our families. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you to our wonderful presenters. And this is our information for the spring. All of these are on our Wholespire events page. So we hope that you will join us again in January. All right. Everyone have a great day and happy holidays.